Hello. No, we're not gonna do
Oh,
that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to JMax Sports Cards. Got my buddy Josh. He'll be to my left. His channel is the 047 Sports and TCG Cards. Got him linked down in the video description below if you aren't familiar with the channel. So go check him out. How you doing tonight, Josh?
doing great, man. Great to be here. Great to talk to you as always. Excited to get
Absolutely.
into some cool topics and answer the big question that we had as the live stream question tonight.
Yeah. Looking forward to chatting it up, getting some people here in chat as well to chime in. Let me make sure everything's all.
Oh yeah, we want to answer everybody's comments, questions tonight on the live chat. So please hit
Yep,
it up.
chime in.
Yeah.
No doubt. Let's see. Cool. We got Kevin so far in the chat that says cool. Literally. Let me see. Here we go. All right. There we go. Now I can show. All right. So yeah. He's already popping off with a question. Y'all think Panini will merge with Fanatics? I don't know, man. It's like if Panini goes to almost zero, then Fanatics can just scoop them up by the licenses. I don't think they're necessarily they don't. I don't feel like they need them, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think. Well, I'll tell you what I want to happen. I just sort of want Panini to run its course out, and let Fanatics be its own thing and take over the license when they do. Things aren't
Yeah,
getting any better in my mind until Panini's out of the picture anyway. So, we'll see what happens. It's been how long we've been talking about Fanatics buying out
yeah,
Panini. It's been bubbling for a long time, but they got a lot of lawsuits and things going on right now. So I don't know that it's anything going to be settled anytime soon. And I just feel like we're waiting.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, waiting game for a lot of stuff with the, it really just kind of you look across the economics, of the just society in general, and it's been in decline. So when that's the case, a lot of like capital investment doesn't occur. Things happen a lot slower if they do happen, stuff like that. So a lot of people wait until stuff kind of bottoms and then begins to correct. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm no economist or anything like that, but when things are rough like this, a lot of it's the people with the deepest pockets are the ones that usually can do arbitrage and like in stocks, Warren Buffett, he buys up distressed
Yeah,
companies and gets whatever he wants out of them. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
um, yep. So that's some people, some with deep pockets. That's what they wait on. They wait on recessions, corrections, and then they pounce on it. So we got a loaded show tonight. I did want to just kind of plug it, man, since I have hooked up with. I'll put it across the bottom. If you're interested, I know a lot of you are resellers on eBay. If you're interested in using Card Dealer Pro, I do got a promo code. You can sign up and get 500 free scans. So consider that. I'll leave that scrolling for a little bit there at the bottom. A bunch of you have used that. I appreciate that. They're not sponsoring this. It's just an affiliate link. So yeah. But so my last video, man, it a little bit controversial. Had the most dislikes ever in any video of mine, but it was just one of those things. I just wanted to address it because I get that question all the time, and there's a level of transparency that I'm willing to um, put out on the channel, but then there's a level where I got to draw the line somewhere. So that's why I made that video.
I didn't see
Um,
anything wrong with it. I think I think too is I think what people are maybe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what most people are trying to figure out or want to know really is really what is the margin in general with a card that you can get, and it varies from card to card and how much you got into it and out of it. So, and
yeah,
like you said in the video, it's nobody's business anyway. So, uh,
yeah,
but every margin on a card is different. I don't, I could say, I made 50% margin on one card and lost 10%, and that's that and the other. I just, you know, I,
yeah.
you
As well
weren't
as
wrong.
Well, it's one of those things where I also had a direction I wanted to take that video, and then after I published it, I was like, man, I didn't even say the part I wanted to say. You ever done that before, where
Yeah, yeah,
where you had something you wanted to say and you didn't say it? So, because, but really, like kind of, yeah, I'll say it now since I didn't say it in that video. Buying bulk and buying collections is the way I do it, where the difference between the way I do it and people who just buy singles and flip them, even if it's just a few singles, they really do. People who do that typically really do home in on that card. I want to know the in and out on that card, right? And then the profit margins on the single cards. But what I do is when I buy bulk or I buy a collection, I just try to get back to the break even of the collection. Let's say it was $1,000 I spent on the collection, right? Well, the way I view it is I don't track the individual sales profit margins. It's all right. What is um when do I get to back to 1,000?
correct.
And then at that point, I know how much left do I have in the collection. Well, all of it's profit at that point,
Right. Yep.
right? And many times with collections, I mean, I'll keep selling them for yeah, not perpetuity, not forever, but I mean, I've got stuff that from collections I bought 2-3 years ago that I'm still selling here and there. $2, $5 cards, $10 cards. So it just keeps going. So if I were to, sometimes there's no end in sight as far as tracking the profits of a collection you buy, unless you're trying to just do super high volume and you're just moving it all bulk. You sell your best cards and then sell. I don't do it that way most of the times. I am starting to sell some bulk low end, like, I mean, I won't even call them scraps because I do put some good stuff in them, but I'm doing the large flat rate envelope boxes and I'm selling those, and people are liking them, leaving good feedback on eBay about them, and I'll continue to do that. That's just to get my sports car shed down into manageable the shelves, get some of those cleared out.
Well, I think a good point too is, and maybe that's where we'll start tonight is, you know, we all have maybe different definitions of what bulk is. Buying in bulk, to me, I'll tell you, like, have I bought bulk lots in thousands of cards? Yes. Have I bought bulk lots in 4 to 6 cards? Yes. And just like you were going back to, and I even did a recent video 2 days ago about just buying 2 bulk lots. One was a 4 card lot and one was a 6 card lot. And then just like you're talking about selling the main card to get back the money that I just spent on the entire bulk lot. But I think the bigger question, and J Mac, let's talk about that, is just how do you purchase bulk? Because I think a lot of people know that that's where you can get your best deals. In my mind, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't buy singles anymore. I really don't, unless it's a super single that stands out, and I know I can make a good return on it. The majority of stuff I'm buying now is in bulk.
Right.
And it varies, from whether it's a 4 or 5 card lot, whether it's a 25 card lot, 100 card lot, 1,000 card lot. It just depends on what the deal is, and doing it. But I do know a lot of people ask, how do you even buy bulk? So maybe we'll start the
Right.
conversation there and go from there, and how you do it, and then I'll talk about sort of how I do it too.
Yeah, and I jotted some notes down on this one because sometimes I come into these and I'm kind of all over the place. So to keep myself straight, I made I made some notes. So for me, and I'm trying to be concise about it. So for me, the absolute optimized best way of buying bulk is at shows in person, because I say that because you can get exactly what you want. Whereas a lot of times, like if you buy a collection or you buy something on Facebook Marketplace or you buy, if someone's just dumping or something, even on like a Facebook group where you get everything, right?
Yeah.
Good and bad. Well, at a show, you can go and you can hand pick out the cards you want. And then they got them marked at whatever they want, or whatever they got them stickered at. But then you're in person and you have that opportunity and that human interaction where you can negotiate. And many times you can explain yourself why you're saying the price that you're saying. Whereas if you're trying to do that through, Messenger or, it's text, even if it's through eBay, because you can sometimes find bulk on eBay, But many times text always gets misconstrued. Well, he's just trying to rip me off. Well, no, you can explain it better in person. You can say, yeah, I understand. You got all these cards stickered at $5. And end of the day, they probably are $5 cards. Some of them are $10 cards. But for me to buy them and for me to resell them, I'm gonna need to be in this lot where I'm into every card for $1.50, right? And some of them, yes, I'm gonna sell them for $10 after fees and whatever else. I'm probably gonna wind up netting $7 on the card on one of them. A lot of them I'm gonna sell at $4 and that net $2, right? So I need to be in at 150 on every single card. And when you explain it to people that way, and they're eager to move some inventory that that's sitting, then they're more willing to then work with you and get at least closer to your $1.50. And so, and like I said, I like it because you can pick through, get exact, like if you sell a lot, you kind of know what you're able to sell regularly, a type of card, a player, a team. um so go to a card show and I can skim through boxes or look across, scan a table, make a stat, and then that's just the best way for me. That's the best way to get exactly what I want to resell. So yeah, that's my experience. What about you?
I want to say, one, I've done it just like you're talking about on that level. But I'll say on like some of the other cards, like where you got a little higher card. So let's say, you're talking 25, 50, $100 card, even higher than that. And I'm not, I don't watch his channel a lot, but I watch the shorts, and I think Ryan with Card Collector 2 does a great job of sort of
Yeah,
illustrating the way to do it is. And I think the way that I do it is sort of similar to that. Is I'll pick out two or three cards and come up to them and say, let's see where we're at on these prices, and if we agree on that, then we can talk about a bigger lot, if you know what I mean. So that's sort of how I approach some of that. The bulk buying is at a card show, just like you're talking about. I usually do it at a little bit higher rate, but I mean, like I said, I've done it the exact way you've done. I've done it with Jordans and all kinds of other huge lots. But I sort of like, let's talk about a couple cards first to see if we're in the same ballpark. Because
yeah, of
I don't
course.
want to take someone down that road if I know that at the end of the day we're not even going to be in the same, driving the same lane. So that's sort of how I inch it up and do it a lot with and I do it too. I have a lot of folks on my Discord and also online. I try and do. You're right. It is much tougher to do it, but there's also some people, to be honest with you, J Mac, that just send me bulk lots and send me a few photos now at this point, and I'm like, all right, I'll take the whole lot. I don't know what all you got in it, the
Yeah,
rest of it, but I just trust you, and I know, and I've made margins on those lots before, and that's the point. So, but that takes process. That doesn't happen overnight to have those relationships and to build those roads with folks. That takes a lot of time, and that just happens over years and meeting people and having those relationships and having that trust and them knowing that you got to make, just like you're saying about when you have that conversation, you need to make some. You're buying this so you can make some profit too. But then like, buying stuff that, what I love is it includes stuff that I'd have for my PC, and my
yeah.
PC is sort of changing over the years too. But, you know, I'm like you, J Mac. I don't want to spend a lot of money on my PC, but I've sort of stepped it up a little bit recently, so, as I've been changing my PC a little bit. But um, it is an art. There is an art to buy in bulk, and it's not just the straight, you know, this is what the card price is, because you're buying a whole bunch of things, and it takes a lot of time for someone to piece all that out. I mean, you got the great avenue to do it because you're doing it on eBay, and you can piece through all that stuff. Everybody doesn't have that mindset. I think I saw a comment in there about there's some cards that'll never sell, and that's
Yep.
true. There are some
Oh yeah.
cards, but
Yeah.
hopefully you did the homework on the front end, and you sold a lot of the bigger cards out of that lot, and were able to, get back and then make some profit on the rest of the cards. But yeah, that's a factor too.
No, it's a major factor because like talking about I talk about quite a bit talking about buying collections, and when you buy a collection, there's a good bit of that probably never sell because when you buy a collection, a lot of times, I mean, if it's a there are a few different types of collections that you can wind up picking up. You can wind up picking up one from a collector that has picked it through. They've taken out the majority of the good stuff, left a few little things in there to get you excited enough to still want to buy it, but they leave a lot of their leftovers in there, and then that's for you to have to deal with. But look, when you look at a collection on a percentage basis, many times it could be 50% of it that won't sell. Sometimes you get lucky and it's a true collector that's actually selling their whole collection. That's very rare, right? They're selling their whole collection and they're willing to, sell it.
They're just getting out the cards altogether.
Getting out, selling everything. That's rare. But when you get something like that, then that's a great deal because you'll get a lot of value packed into the collection. So it varies. Again, even with collections, it varies. But it is a good point. I'll just throw it back up on the screen if I can find it. Let's see.
And I'll address. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just throwing it up because it's a good comment.
Yeah, Sean, and that I think you got to factor that in. I will tell you this too, a little side trick. I don't know if you have access to it to do it, but stuff that I've bought that does not sell, that I know will not sell, and I can tell you the main stuff that doesn't sell for me is 80s and 90s stuff. It's just common, junk wax era stuff. I literally go down the street in my pawn shop and say, will you take all these thousands of cards for $20? Like, it means nothing to me at that point. Yep. And I'd rather get something out of it, even if it's a couple bucks, just to, move it and get it out of the house.
Right. Yeah. And that's it. Or you can donate it to Goodwill. Like, I know some people get like upset with that, but I mean, you literally can, and it could be a tax write-off. So those are a couple ways. Like those large flat rate boxes, I'm putting about half kind of junk wax in there. Some people really actually do still like that. Like I had one guy who he sent me a message. We're going to get into messages and eBay a little bit here, but he sent me a message. He said, because I've been doing these flat rate boxes, and he was like, it's a mixture of some 2020 to 2022, newer stuff, and then it's mixed in some 80s, some 90s, and he's like, man, I don't like anything modern or ultra modern. He's like, I just like the 80s and 90s, and I'm like, it just threw me back because not many people say that. But he's like, that's all I want. He says, so if you spin up a large flat rate box of that stuff, I'll buy. I run them at auction. So he's like, I'll get in on the bidding on that. And I was like, yeah, cool, man. I said, I'm trying a bunch of stuff, so I probably will make one like that. But so yeah, there's ways of moving that stuff too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like you said, it definitely won't sell for very much, but everything can sell, but you're not going to make a lot of money on some of that stuff.
And like I said, hopefully at that point you've already made your money on that lot.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It shouldn't even factor into your thinking or your money, or at that point it's just more of, like you're saying, either donate or move it somewhere super cheap and just move on.
Yep.
Sean's got another question there.
Hang on. Before we move to hit that one, there was one early that I wanted to catch real quick. I can answer it real quick. Yeah, Tony asked about card collector, card dealer pro. I'm thinking, he says, is it worth it if you don't have a scanner? I just have a smartphone. And I mean, you can take pictures if you get it set up on like a tripod and you're taking good crisp pictures, and it should work. But the scanner is the best way. If you don't have a scanner, then I don't know if I'd use Card Dealer Pro. So that'll be my answer to that one. Yeah. Now, let's see, what question you talking about here with Sean?
Go ahead. Do both of you feel like there's been a little pullback recently? Yeah, go ahead. People open their wallet.
Yeah. We can move in. We can kind of move away from bulk buying. I mean, are you pretty much exhausted?
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel good? Okay. So this is sort of one of our topics we're going to talk about. Obviously, in the title and the thumbnail is sports card collecting on the rise, or it is in decline? What are our thoughts on it? And we'll listen to you guys as well in the chat and in comments as well. So So my take on it. You go first. I went first last time, Josh. I want to hear your take first.
Okay. Well, here's what I would say. It all depends too on how you actually interpret that question. Card collecting, because we've been talking a lot about buying and selling and things like that.
Yeah.
I will say collecting. You know, the generation is specifically collecting. And I talked about PC cards and things that I'm concerned. I would say from my collecting standpoint only, and this is why I love baseball collector, dealer, collecting for keeping, I think is on the decline. I think collecting sports cards to buy and sell on a daily basis is still steady, and I still feel like it's going pretty strong. I don't feel like that's ever dropping down per se, even though we've had, after this past 2 years, people, the interest is not as super as it was, and even that was inflated to a large degree. But I would say if you're going to the heart of the question, collecting sports cards, I would say yeah, it's on a slight decline because when I go around and I talk to a lot of people and at card shows and Discord and everything like that, it's all about the buying and selling, which is wonderful. We need a healthy amount of that going on. But are people really holding a lot of cards like to keep forever or keep for a long time or pass down to the next generation? I don't know. So I would ask
Yeah.
you that there, man.
I definitely have a take on it. So like it's just funny. It's something funny you said what you said, and because I'd taken down some notes as well. And what I noted was that if you talk to people that go to shows on a regular basis, or people that only have mostly dealt in mid and high end, then yes, they're going to say it's on decline, and they're going to or they're going to say, you know, yeah, it feels like the hobby's declining. Whereas like if you sell, uh, if you have lots and lots of listings like I do on eBay, and um, you get messages. I get a lot of messages, not only on eBay, on the other platforms from through the channel and stuff like that. Um, but it was specifically here's some examples on eBay. What happens is like the areas where big markets are, big teams, right? You can correlate that there's a lot of collectors because um, so for instance, like Wisconsin Packers fans,
Oh yeah,
Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks.
Steelers.
I mean,
Yeah,
Drew Hol
yeah.
Steelers, but like I mean, like I'm just saying, I'm gonna give Wisconsin for as an example because it's a little bit more blue collar, you know what I mean. But mid-level players like Drew Holiday on the Bucks and rookies from the Bucks, uh, Packers, all the Packers rookies, they all sell, and they all and I print the labels. I see them. They're going to Wisconsin. They St. Louis Cardinals got a huge fan base, and fortunately that last I didn't do a lot of baseball, and I always would tell people when I was at shows and stuff, they come up, you buying. I don't do baseball mostly. Well, I bought that big collection, so I had to get to know baseball, and I'm kind of glad I did because now I know the markets of baseball a little better now. And there was a lot of Bowman First and Bowman Chrome, and so now I know that market a little better too. But so yeah, St. Louis. I mean, I got repeat buyers that are on the regular, and Boston Red Sox guys buy up Devers and all even guys that got traded, Bogarts, and they still buy them. They buy the rookies, they'll buy their refractors, they'll buy all that stuff, and those are collectors. So there's lots of collectors. And then what I talk about what I get some feedback from my channel is a lot of new people coming into the hobby now that are saying, watching my channel and channels like mine and saying, "Oh man, I appreciate your channel because I'm getting back into the hobby." This is now, not COVID. This is
Yep.
now. They're saying, "I'm getting back into the hobby, and I don't know much about selling, but I want to sell some of my old stuff because I'm trying to learn the new hobby." You know how it was when you got back, kind of got when the hobby changed into grading and all the things it's changed, evolved into,
Oh yeah.
and the chase cards and the low serial numbered stuff, all the stuff we got now. So there's a lot of people getting into the hobby now. They're just not buying. They're not spending thousands of dollars on
I
singles like they used to. That's
agree.
my take. I think the hobby's in a slow growth mode as far as new people coming in, but they're just not deep pockets anymore, like it was during. Yeah, so
I
that'd be
agree,
what.
I agree on that front. But what about my take on about the collecting aspect of it? Do you feel like more people are still collecting?
I,
Collecting.
I I think so, because I
Yeah,
think I think most of them buy on eBay though.
yeah,
Most people that are I mean, because you got people. I'm in right now. I'm in Middle America. I live in Arkansas now. I used to live I've always lived in the East Coast. And so I haven't. You forget about these areas, but a lot of these folks in Middle America and smaller areas, they got to go to eBay. They go to eBay to buy stuff. So and they collect. So collecting, I think, is still alive. It's just and a lot of people don't even consume content. They don't go to shows. Some of them don't.
correct.
So I would probably say I don't. And if I were, this is just me just throwing a speculating. There's no data behind this or anything like that. But I say probably 50% of the hobby doesn't watch YouTube, doesn't have an Instagram account, doesn't go on Facebook to buy, and they just do the hobby the way they do it. They buy packs and they buy stuff on eBay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that.
And to the YouTube point, let's go into this other point. Just making sure that to the audience out there too is when you and I know a couple of videos back to JMac, you sort of poked fun at it, but the whole video thumbnails and the things that you guys see on the video about, buying $20,000 worth of cards at a card show, buying $10,000, the reality, that's not the reality. Okay. And going back to what you're saying is the pockets are smaller now, but I think the pockets are smaller, but they're also a lot smarter now because there's been a lot of lessons hard lessons for a lot of these folks too have been learned for the past couple of years of, man, I shouldn't have laid out that kind of money for that kind of card, and I don't know how to sell it or don't know how to I'm stuck with it type thing on some of those things. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's all I'd say is
That's
just don't buy into that hype of you got to go to a card show and you got to spend. Look, most people that go to a card show, it's between I would say $100 and $300 they got in their pocket. They want to get as many cards as they can, quality cards they
for,
can get in for that
for
amount of money that they brought, and
for
that's
as cheap as for as cheap as they can. They
yeah,
won't
absolutely.
deal. Some people are like I mean, you look sometimes as a dealer. Sometimes I well, especially when it was the boom going on. But some fellas would come up and just they'll be comping your dollar boxes. You're like, but some people just, man, they got a budget and they're not going past their budget. And like you said, you know what I mean. They're going to stay within their means, but they're going to collect. But they're not going to break the bank to collect, like you
Correct.
said.
Correct.
You know,
And that's not to say
but
there's not those whales out there, obviously that want the bigger cards and stuff. Because
oh yeah,
Lord knows I've sold a lot of big cards, but it's not the norm. Is all I was trying to say there.
yeah. Well, fake market. It's a funny name there. So he makes a great point. Right now, I mean, like, listen, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know the whole COVID boom. I was still buying collections and I was buying bulk lots, and I very rarely spent $100 on a card. I think I've spent $100 on a card like 5 times this year, $100 plus, because now you can get so much more with the $100. You could get something with quite a bit of rarity. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Matter of fact, look, I'm gonna show you. I haven't made a video on it or anything, and I hadn't talked about it. Let me see. I want to show you something.
All
I want
right.
to show y'all something. A card I picked up. It's like a Grail card for me. And I'll explain why. Some of y'all will probably just be like, he's dumb for buying it, but I'm gonna share it anyway. Let me see if I can find it. Window here. Okay, so check this out.
Yeah, I've
So
seen that.
this is 22 Donruss fans of the game. So check this out. So it's there's the base card, and then there's only one parallel. It's called a silver parallel, and they're numbered to 100. We'll look at the serial number. So there's only one parallel of this card, and guess who's got the jersey numbered card? This guy. I paid. This was in Germany. It was on eBay. and it was in Great British Pounds. I had to do the translation
Oh, geez.
from USD to figure it out. I think I paid $120 for this card. You can go. It's the sales public, obviously. And whatever shipping was a little bit higher too because it was overseas. But I saw this and I was like, man, I don't never pull the trigger on anything like this, but this is like because Josh knows, like I'm a huge Steph Curry fan, okay, and then let me go back to me.
Usually J Mac's wearing a Carolina Panthers hat, as you guys know with the video.
I'm tatted. I'm Panther tatted, okay, so. So I'm a fanatic, Panther fanatics. This is like a Grail card for me, and it's jersey number. And like I said, there's not in this one. There's not like green and blue and red. And this is it. There's only one jersey numbered Steph Curry fans of the game. So this is, I believe, for most because he played at Davidson, which is in Charlotte. So a lot of Charlotte people and Carolina fans, this will be a Grail card to them. So. When I saw it, I was like, I'm actually going to pay up for this. I don't even care. I did, make an offer on it. He countered, and then I accepted it. I was like, I'm not going to play around. Let this one sit. So, anyway, but I think there's also an autographed version of this. None of them have been listed on eBay. I'm kind of looking out for it if it comes. But who knows how much it would cost, the auto version of this one. But it will be one I would eventually seek out probably.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure a pretty good price point on a signed Steph Curry Panthers card. Fans of the game.
Yeah, Corey said, yeah, I did share it on Instagram, but I didn't make a video or reel in because I was probably I thought to make a video on it, but I did send it off because it looked like I was just sharing it, and I mean if you look at it, it's clean. So I sent it with the new PSA $15 bulk. They have a new special going on for $15 for anything over $19.90. So I sent this in that bulk order. So, I mean, you can see the corners, the edges, everything's clean on it, and centering looks good. So,
I mean, if I came back at 10, that'd be a super Grail. You just upgraded your Grail card.
Yeah. So, and then at $15, I was like, I don't care. I'll just get it encapsulated. You know what I mean? So,
very, very cool.
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say I share that, and to say that I spent $100 on a card, which I don't normally do, but this like I think that kind of card would have been $200-300, a year ago. So just being this jersey numbered,
Well, and here, what you're talking about too, and just by showing that goes to a bigger point that I would like to say is, and a lot of stuff that I hear, and a message too that I'm trying to relay to my 11-year-old son who's getting into cards a lot. What matters is it's cool to you, irregardless of the value. Okay, and I think people, and like we were going back and forth about, like, the buying and selling and talking through all that. We were at a card show, and I think it was like a 13-year-old kid came up and was like, he thought this card was really cool. It was in my like $5-10 thing, but he was like, oh, it's only worth $5, and I was like, yeah, and you can have it for $3. Okay, but
right.
but he was disappointed because the card was super cool, but it didn't have a lot of value, and I think that shouldn't. If you're like a collector or wanting to get, and like I'm telling my son, like, collect cool stuff that you have in your room that you like to look at and you think is really cool to have, irregardless of what you think the value or what somebody else thinks the value of that card is. If it's cool to you, buy it. Keep it, hold it, So that Curry card is like a cross section of your two loves to a large degree, and that hits your sweet spot. And that's what I would tell anybody that's into really collecting sports cards, is to find that place that makes you happy, and don't necessarily get caught up in the value. And like you said, you had to go back and forth a little bit, but you're like, I'm not letting this go because this is my cross section. This is my card.
Yep. Yeah.
So
and when I did the research on it, I found it was the only parallel. I was like, this is the only jersey number of this one. So, I was like, somebody's gonna buy this pretty quick. And I've had a lot of cards that I've had watched that because now I'm being a lot more picky. On, like, I'm trying to buy cards that have meaning. Like not only like like that one too. I think could have long-term value as well, especially if it tens, it'll be, because
Oh
it's the
yeah.
only jersey numbered of that parallel. So any Panther, like I said, let's say the Panthers do get real hot, in that card, and like what a lot of charlatans think is that Steph will eventually, because his dad played for the Hornets. You think he'll retire and get a contract like when
Yeah.
he's about gone, when his playing days are about done, he'll get a contract with the Hornets. That's what people hope in Charlotte, is that he'll finish and retire a Hornet. That's what people hope. So
Oh, I think that's a real possibility. And just going along, one more thing to that point too is collecting what you love and collecting what you like and things like that. I would also say don't get too bogged down if the card that you like is like in a 7 or in a 6 or
true.
in an 8. Don't get so caught up in what the grade is. It's more of the eye appeal and what it looks like to you. Because don't let it. All I was going to say was don't let a grading company determine what it is that you find appealing. Bottom
Yeah,
line. Like,
and if it just really bothers you being in a 6 or 7, just crack it out and put it in a one touch if it's
yep.
just a card you really want. But you
Well,
can buy it for super cheap in a 6 or 7, right?
well, speaking of that point, well, I got a card here too. Since we're going to do a card talk about. So this card was in a 6.
I'm gonna put you on the full
Okay.
solo layout. Yeah,
This card, I still don't know why it was in a 6. To be honest with you, but this is a Tom Brady, and I cracked it out, and just like you just said, cracked it out and put it in a one touch. Cost me $50. It's a game worn jersey, 48 out of 250. Playbook, 2006. His red jersey. This
that's
cost me
nice.
$50, and it was in a 6. And somebody's like, didn't value it that much because it was in a 6, a PSA 6. And I said, okay, well, I'll just crack it out and I'm gonna keep it in one touch. And
Is
it's
it
going
numbered? Did you say it was
yeah,
numbered?
it's 48 out of 250.
Okay,
48 out
nice.
of 250. So
And it's
this is in my
game used.
PC. Game use. Yeah, game
Yeah.
use. So yeah, if you don't like, just like J Max said, right there's a real example of someone cracking something out of something because I liked the eye appeal. I wanted something, I wanted a red jersey of Tom Brady, and $50 is nothing if you like it.
Well, and here's the thing too. Right now, like you said, if you're patient right now too, I got another example. I'm gonna show another card here. This one was so this is my guy. So the Panthers haven't drafted number 1 since Cam. So that's been whatever, how many, I don't know, what, 12, 13 years, 2011 or 10.
2011,
Yeah,
I think.
2011. So so I haven't really got hyped about anybody because I was hyped about McCaffrey. But so I'm a little bit hype about Bryce Young, and I'm willing to spend again about $100 on a couple cards. So this one though was one that, but that's a beautiful Brady. I don't mean to change the subject
No,
quick on you. I'm just rolling with it because we're showing a few cards
yeah.
here. But so this one was one I saw. So I've been trying to get a Bowman. If I told you I'm trying to get a Bowman, but they're just too. I'm not paying $200, $300, $400, $500 for a Bryce Young auto right now. I'm just not going to do it. So it's a Bryce Young auto, and it is Sage, but it's gold. And guess what? There's its own card, and it's numbered to 10, and it's jersey numbered. So it's jersey number 9 out of 10. And it's got, you can see there's a smear on the where he signed right here. It's smeared a little bit.
I can see that. Yep.
Yeah. So the guy had listed it for like 3 on eBay. I submitted an offer for 140. This is early. This is a month or two ago. He declined it or countered at like 250. And I kept watching other sales of other, like even like Sage, even the Sage hit stuff selling between 100. They even like this one's, the on card ones are selling for 120 to 250 ish, because they're on card. You know what I mean? And a lot of the Bowmans aren't even on card. So and I just kept waiting, and he kept dropping the price. He dropped it to 275. He dropped it to 250. He dropped it to 225. I sent that 140 again. He accepted. So I picked it up for 140. And so it's and you look at Brady, you look at Mahomes, and of their Sage on card autos, they sell for Mahomes sells for about
800,
1,000.
yeah, 800,000, yeah.
Well, now there's a lot of stickers with Sage and stuff too, but the own card stuff sells for 1,000, 1,500, and that's like numbered to like 250. If I don't know, I haven't seen any like Mahomes like numbered to 10. I'm not saying Young's going to be Mahomes, but I'm
Yeah.
saying we haven't had a quarterback to chase forever in Carolina, right? So, I figured $140 is a bit of a gamble, but I'll do it on him. But like Brady's sell for 2,500. Sage press pass. He had press
Yeah.
pass. I think he might have even had a couple Sage as well. But
Well,
obviously that's Brady. But
yeah. Well, and two is you probably got some folks too, and we'll get to some of the questions here. I think we address some of the questions, but like some people probably snub their nose at hearing that. Oh, J Max buying a Sage card, you buying a Sage auto, like some of these folks too. I'm not saying people are what is it, sports called snobs per se. I'm not gonna say that, but people with some they wouldn't even be in their mindset, of buying a Sage card, because it's the unlicensed and da 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 da.
Yeah.
I would just say people get over it. Get over some of that stuff because it does actually, like you were just pointing out, it does hold some real value with some of the key players.
If they become relevant, yeah.
Yeah, and I would tell you too, if you're just wanting to rip cards, and I don't advise, and I don't know Huck, we don't got DJ and Rips on here, but if you are wanting to just rip cards to have some fun, some literally just fun, I would recommend you buy a hobby box of Sage. It don't cost that much, but you get like 12, 18, 15. Well, I don't know what it is now.
It's like 16 this year.
16
yeah.
autos. Okay, 16 autos for Sage. So if you want to rip something really cool and have a decent shot of hitting a good player, and again feel good about hitting a rip, go ahead and buy Sage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like these parallels are in both high and low, so you could hit the CJ Stroud of this in high or low, and they're going like I priced them too because I was thinking about before I bought this one, I was gonna maybe risk it for the biscuit and buy one or two because they're like $115. You get 16 autos. I was like, even if I hit a CJ Stroud, that'll pay for the box, and then but I might actually Levis he's selling for 75 to 100. Bryce Young is the highest of them all, but I would have kept the Bryce Young if I hit it. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna snag one on card. Try to find one of these because there's not many. Most of the Sage are also stickers, so there's only like two or three parallels that are on card. So, and I'm being real. That's why I said I'm being real picky about if I'm gonna hold this card and keep it and for long term, I'm gonna make sure and it's jersey numbered. So I'm being more selective, but you can't get a on card Bowman numbered to 10. Bryce Young's $1,000, so not gonna do that. Yeah, good point. Ripping and flipping there. Let's see. Matt Corral, he'll never see the field in Carolina. Likely get traded. I don't have any Matt Corral cards personally, but I mean, I know a lot of Panther fans always ask me that, but I'm like, I never took a flyer on that guy, and
we do sell a good amount of Matt Corral cards here in Mississippi.
Of course, he's Ole Miss, yeah, and a lot of people think are high on him, and I'm not giving an opinion on what he might be. I'm just saying I'm a Panther fan, and I think it's highly unlikely he ever hits the field. I think he gets traded or he'll be on the practice squad maybe because
I agree.
They're probably not gonna have three quarterbacks on the roster when they got Andy Dalton, a great backup quarterback behind Bryce Young. So they're not gonna Corral. I don't think Corral hits the field. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I don't know what that question is. Do you know what that is? I don't know what they're talking about.
Matt McLean. Is it? I don't know. Football, baseball. I don't know. I've never heard of the name, so I would say no.
Yeah, just no. No, I don't know. We don't know. Just kidding. What do you guys think of the Optic football? I don't like Donruss the way it looks this year. Donruss or Optic is the same. It's just a bad look this year. But I mean, it's Optic. I like their own card autos on a lot of them. It's one of the few products we can get some on card autos.
I guess too, if it's you're talking Optic retail and hobby. I'm a little more along the lines with J-Mac on that. However, I want to say this too. Maybe this goes back. I think there was an earlier question upward too, but we can sort of combine these two things. Is like the downtowns and kabooms and well, especially with Optic, the more downtowns, it does feel like there's a lot more downtowns that have been printed, and I think maybe that's losing a little bit of the the luster of downtowns now. And I really love downtown cards. I think they're really cool. But to be honest with you, I don't own any of them. I've sold a couple of them, but I don't go and get them now because I sort of feel like they're getting overprinted, and they're sort of overhyped too, in a sense too.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big. I do like Optic. I think it's a fun little rip, but I mean, I don't. I just there's nothing for this year's Optic that I feels like even worth doing, unless you're going for a downtown or you're trying to hit a picket or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's like and the draft class isn't that great either. It's like so yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, there like me and Josh are basically on the same page. We're looking forward to Topps Chrome and Bowman Chrome and Fanatics, and I think a lot of people are. I mean, people are still gonna buy and they're gonna chase the chases in all the products, but that's cooled down a lot too. But I mean, I don't do it that much. I do buy. I bought a few 3 blasters of Optic football just to rip it because I could get it on Target.com. I'll rip a little bit here and there. But I'm by and large I'm anti ripping. I just do it for fun. There's no profit margins in ripping most times if you're ripping retail.
Correct.
So I do it for
a lot of it's overprinted. So there's a bunch of it out there. It's not like it was during the pandemic where people were going crazy for it and also reselling it, wax wise. I don't like J Max says, I think responsible ripping is probably the recommendation. If you are going to rip, do it with the mindset that you're probably going to lose 99% of your money, but you're doing it to have some fun and connect with cards or share it. I do it a lot. We do a kids day, here in the neighborhood that I do to get kids to open cards for free. That is a bunch of retail stuff that I buy. So I think, trying to get people involved where they don't have to worry about even the financial component of it at the end of the day, just the fun rip part of it, I think it's healthy. I just think you do it in moderation, like most things in life that I would say.
Right. Chris Munns asked, are there any inserts better than the base set? I mean, that's again one of those things that, I mean, it's kind of hard to look forward to the future and say what, because it's usually, I mean, a lot of the inserts that are of the 90s and stuff that are popular now weren't popular then. So, so it's like in the future, like I was actually thinking about one recently, like just thinking about Curry, like the splash inserts in Optic, like that's for like the shooters. Those are like awesome inserts for shooters, right? So, looking forward, and I was trying to see. There's not a whole lot of parallels of it. Again, I was looking for some particular stuff of Curry, but so yeah, I mean, there's so many of them. Who knows what will wind up?
I will say this: 90s inserts are really kick butt. I really love, because like we were talking about junk wax cards, and I was saying about that. But the inserts of some of those things of the 90s cards, like Shaq and Jordan and some of the, Kobe and some of those, like the basketball side of stuff, I really think is cool. But it's usually, higher end stuff. And, to be honest with you, stuff I don't choose to spend my money on, even though I do think they're really kind of cool cards and have that, to me at least, the nostalgia factor that is all.
Yeah, I think too, like to your point there, I think even with the real sought after 90s inserts, and it was late 90s when it got real competitive with real products where they were being made less, but they were also competing with designs because there was a lot more companies that were coming out creating cards. But now, even looking at those, and they're highly sought after, and like you said, some of them are very, very pricey. But looking at those, it's really just the Jordans, and just if any ones that Shaq are in or Kobe, You take those 3 away, and most of those other inserts of the same inserts, or most of the other players are nickels and dimes, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the point I'm making is that a lot of people are buying these just because they're like kabooms and downtowns, just because they're the popular inserts, but they're getting all the kabooms and downtowns. Which, if you look back in history, the real sought after inserts back in the '90s that Jordan sells for $1,000, all the other ones sell for $5 or $10. So kabooms, downtowns, not good players, $5 or $10, 20 years later.
I agree.
Okay, you know.
But I do want to. I think it sort of leads into another thing we can quickly talk about. It was just about likability. Like we just named, I just named, we just talked about Shaq, Kobe, Michael. Like, and I was thinking about this, prior to us coming on the live stream, was just about, there's that likability factor. It plays a monumental role in the hobby, and I don't think it's talked about a lot of times. And here's what I mean by that. So like, and you were talking about specific areas where people, in the United States or in general, like in Wisconsin or Pittsburgh or whatever. But like, I was thinking last year, like Tim Duncan and David Robinson and like a bunch of like folks, football, like even Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, like the people that have won 4 Super Bowls and have, made a big difference, in their sport. How their cards are really just underrated. Eli Manning, it's another one. Like there's just a bunch of guys that I'm always like, sometimes when I look up prices on some of these guys and I'm like, is this really how much this costs? Because it seems like it should be more. And I think it goes to my question that I wanted to ask you, J-Mac, was about, just that likability factor. And I think that's something too, as a collector or a buyer, seller, or dealer, or whatever you're doing with cards, where do you stand on that? Or is that what you're looking for? Because I do it plays an underrated role in the hobby, is what I was going to say. The likability factor, because right now I can tell you right now, the big likability factor that we got going on is, at least in football, is everybody's gaga over Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence has won 1 playoff game, and to me, some of those things when I'm just bringing up like Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw and some Eli Manning, people that have won multiple Super Bowls, but yet the hobby is more wrapped around, who's likable. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I've seen Justin Fields too. I got one running auction right now of a 22 the gold press proof premium.
Yeah.
You know about that set, right? So one of them I got a PSA 10 on it, and it's up to like $75. I mean, and this is this is the second year card, not a rookie. I don't know. I was like, I'm like, is that shield bidding? I don't know. So anyway, but yes, there's definitely that. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, super skilled player, got a ring, don't sell for anything, don't sell for much.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan, probably the greatest power forward ever to play the game, don't sell for much. You got it's like there's legends and there's greats, and so that's why it's like there's people who supersede even like Hall of Famers that. There's levels, there's tiers, even amongst Hall of Famers, even amongst the greats. So I think if you kind of try to lean towards the really best of the best, and then there's that factor that some of the best of the best weren't really all that coveted because of the personalities, right? So
and, even talking about the GOAT, Tom Brady, like we were just talking about. I don't feel like he really became likable till he moved to Tampa
Bay,
and won the Super Bowl and was able to, doing some stuff on Instagram and Twitter and having some fun and showing some personality. I can tell you, outside of New England, there weren't people, like even myself included, were not collecting Tom Brady cards, even though he's the great. He's the greatest.
Everybody hated him. Everybody hated him outside of New England. I did too, and I was the same way. I didn't begin to like him until he got to be able to show his personality in Tampa Bay. Yeah.
If you told me one day that I would be super excited, hold on.
Yeah.
I'd be super excited about owning a Tom Brady auto rookie in my collecting, uh, I would have laughed in your face because and this is a little background too. I'm a New York Jets fan, unfortunately. So for me to be excited about someday owning a Tom Brady car, I can tell you for until a couple years ago, until he moved to Tampa, I could care less about Tom Brady. But now it's like my PC, and that's the crazy sometimes things in the hobby is you can be switched by likability. Likability of a player, can change your mindset completely on
Yeah,
something.
well, also too when he got to 6 rings and then 7 rings, and then when you started at computing all of that, you're like he actually probably is the greatest of all time. And then he broke like the yardage record, the
Yep.
touchdown. When he broke every single record, you're like, okay, all right, you can sleep on them at your own peril if you actually, because there is, as much as we hate to say it, there's a little bit of an investment side of this thing that you have to think about
Yep.
if you into collecting. That sometimes your collecting turns in, and you and me have talked about it. I've kind of narrowed it down to a couple players, the only ones that I'm really interested in long term because of a few reasons. Brady's one of them. Brady, Jordan, and I like Curry. Those are my kind of cornerstones that I target. Um, and I mean, it's just because those guys transcend everyone else in some area or aspect of,
Absolutely.
and they're always like, I mean, when it comes, it's just my personal opinion. All is said and done, when LeBron and Curry retire, there's gonna be there'll be a lot of LeBron young guys that grew up on him. But I think more people, there was a more likability around Curry.
I
He
agree.
doesn't have that. It doesn't have that
100.
negative connotation of being a flopper and crier like LeBron. So it's like a 50-50 split on LeBron, but it's most people are positive about Curry.
I agree.
So I think when they retire, like people are going to go back and collect Curry. Is that's just my take. That's just the way I perceive it. So that's why I picked Curry out of these current NBA players.
Agree. Talking about what was it? We'll squeeze in some things quick here.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe Burrow may not play 10 years and win a Super Bowl. He has the it factor. Maybe, I can tell you I sold 2 Joe Burrow RPAs recently. I'm selling the hype, man. Just like we were talking about, sell the hype, buy the goat type deal. I guess that's my mentality as a whole. When people start getting jacked up on people, I'm all about buying their cards, but those are not PC cards for me. Those are not cards I will keep. I love Joe Burrow. I got a Joe Burrow jersey. He's one of my favorite players, to be honest with you. But am I holding Joe Burrow long term right now? No, because
Yeah, because the guy who's here now is Mahomes, right? It's
yep,
just he's done, and I was the same way on Mahomes up until last year. Before the Super Bowl, I made a video about it and got roasted before he won the Super Bowl. I was like, Mahomes is still on the cusp. Right now, this was when he had one Super Bowl and before the playoffs. I was like, because I was talking about prospecting versus investing, and I used Mahomes as he's on there. I used a couple of players that were almost there. Well, when he won that second Super Bowl, now he has cemented himself and with the longevity and his stats and what all he's proven he can do. So of the QBs, he's the guy now moving forward to look at, right? Of current players. But yeah, Burrow could be that. Burrow's got the it factor, but yes, you're right. Like he's been to big games, but you still got to win it. You got to for you to really hold that long term value,
yep.
that you've got to become uh, you know um, unforgettable in the biggest moments.
Yeah, I agree. And the people right now, at least on the football side, and that's too, mainly what I collect. But like J Mac, I also, we also do baseball and I do TCG and things like that. But Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, that AFC and is
Herbert,
champ. Yeah, Herbert. Oh God, that Herbert is just completely overhyped beyond.
yeah,
But anyways, the AFC is just an incredible. There's too many dynamic quarterbacks, but that's the buzz, and that's how everybody wants. It's fine. Everybody wants it. I'll be more than happy to give it to them. I don't want it for my personal stuff. That's all I would say. They're great cards. And like I said, when you start noticing trends about that, card trends about people just wanting those type of cards, go after those cards, get in at a good price, sell it, and
Use
then
it.
buy your stuff.
And use them. You can use them for the real actual goats, or like like Rip and Flipper said, he lives in Cincy, so he well that's his team, his city. So I mean, I'll have a field day with it. I'm like I said, I haven't invest. I haven't bought a lot of a quarterback of the Panthers in a long time, right? I mean, Cam. I'll still buy Cam, even still now, because he's just one of my favorite players. But I haven't been very interested in many Carolina Panther quarterbacks, right?
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
but as a collector, I'm looking forward to some Bryce Young this year. So,
Well,
yeah. But
here's
in investment side, yeah, no, you're making fabulous points. So,
I want before we stop or anything, I do want to go back to Alex's question because I really want to know your what's y'all's most valuable card from y'all's PC. I think that's a great question. I think that's a question too, Alex. I encourage you, if you're going to card shows or talking with people, to always ask them because that's all you always get an interesting response, and I think that's a great question. I'll let you start first, J Mac. What is because I don't know it. I don't know it, so I'm
I,
interested to hear what yours is.
I don't really know. I mean, I've got a Steph Curry. I mean, I think I told you. I was telling you about it. I got a Curry rookie. It's a Studio Black, and I thought it was numbered to 200, but it's numbered to 100. So I've got a Steph rookie numbered to 100 that hasn't sold but a couple of times. And then it was raw when I bought it, and then I graded it. It got a 9, so it's a Steph Curry rookie to 100. So I don't know. It might be $500 to $700 is maybe a price tag I put on it. It's not the tops, but it's Panini Studio. And then I've got a couple Brady rookies, but they're the $200-300 variety, and I've got trying to think. Let's see. I've got a Aaron Rodgers rookie to 99. That's probably a $300-400 card. I got quite a few $300 to $500 cards, but I don't have the no mega, $1,000-$10,000 cards, anything like that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I do want, and me and J Mac have talked about this not on video, but I do want to get an 86 Fleer Jordan at some point. I've passed on so many over my lifetime, so I'm sort of upset in general with myself. So I do want to have an 86 Jordan Fleer, but right now I would say still like going back to it's I paid 1860 for this authentic 10 Tom Brady rookie signed, really deep autograph. And then on the TC, so that's whatever value you put on that 1800, 2000, and then I do have a TCG PC PSA 10 a Lorcana Mickey Mouse card that's going for $3,000 right now. So those are my two heavy hitter cards. And then like J Mac said on his end, I have a lot of couple $100 cards, and then a lot of this game worn stuff that from Brady that's numbered, that it's tops or those type that early 2000 stuff. That's my kind of jam session with PC stuff. So
Yeah.
A couple big ones, a lot of couple $100 ones, and then a couple less than that. But I can tell you, and going back to that quick point is they're priceless to me because it's what I want. It's what I wanted to keep, and the eye appeal of those cards. So that's I'm not into those cards for anything, and I'll be transparent with that too. So
yeah, no, I did have I had a DJ Moore 101, the gold vinyl Optic on card, although I had that, but I sold it when it got traded. So that I just remember that would have been my biggest card. I sold it for 1,100, so I sold it just a couple 2-3 months ago. Yeah. So that was probably my biggest card, and it was probably the most I'd spent, I think, on the card. Yeah, but I bought the whole rainbow of it, and sold off pieces of the rainbow, and I kept that one, and I had the gold too. I had the gold to 10 as well.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Let's see. Sandy said she had to step away. Said, is it rising or declining? And we said that my take on it was that it was I think there's a steady stream of new people coming into the hobby. High end is declining, but collectors and new people coming into the hobby is that is continuing to happen. That's not in decline. Is my takeaway from it. I think you kind of agreed, right?
I agreed, but I also said that I feel like actual collecting cards, not buying and selling every day, actual collecting PC type stuff, I think is a little bit on the decline, and that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Going to the national, I am not. I was hoping to, but it just life got busy, so I'm just
They
going to.
need to bring that national down to Dallas. That's what I want to.
That'd be cool.
I mean, Dallas is already in my mind the number 2 show out there. So I mean, if the national can come down to Dallas, I'll be there every year. I think the national is a pretty kick butt. I love seeing and I think the national also determines a lot of sort of the trends you see going into football, at least, which is really nice to see each year. But I never been, would love to go, but not going to Chicago for it.
Right. Yeah. If I could have planned better, I would have went. But yeah. Let's see. My 58 Topps Mickey Mantle All-Star graded a 405. Can't remember. That's probably his best. That's a nice card.
Yeah,
it's early Mantle. Yeah. Paul said can't sell my best PC card. Well, I kind of explained the logic of why I sold that DJ Moore once he got traded. So he never got a second contract with the Panthers, and like that's sort of like you got to be a long time player of the teams I collect for me to long-term PC you. So
I would say too, don't get in that mindset of just saying you can't sell your PC card. Here's what I do. I always, and this is my rule, personal rule, is I will sell my PC card to upgrade my PC card.
Always upgrading the PC.
Yeah, upgrading the PC is always okay to sell your PC to upgrade your PC. In my mind.
Yeah. Correct. I agree. Same deal. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. Let's see. That's a great card too.
Mantle? Yeah.
On the mantle, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I guess there was one more topic. I guess we can hit it real quick, talk about eBay and
yes, I want to quick.
Yeah, because we're at a little over an hour, so we'll keep this one short. We'll probably hang out for about another 10 minutes. If any questions or something comes in, we'll take those on at the end. But we wanted to talk a little bit about eBay non-payers and some of the messages you get on eBay, stuff like that. And yeah, so
right. I'm gonna give you since you're I'm not gonna say the eBay master, but the eBay guru. Let's put it that way. One is I have an absolute frustration with anybody that does a lot of selling on eBay that doesn't respond to a question within 48 hours. I'm out of it at that point. And I'm not a huge eBay buyer. I'll preface it with that. But if you don't even just send over and say, hey, I'm busy, I don't care if you do anything like that. If you don't respond within 2 days, I don't want to say you're dead to me, but I'm over it. Okay. And then my second thing is, and I've noticed a lot of people talking about this, and this is the question I wanted to ask you, J-Mac, was about, eBay seems to be a little lax on these people, especially when you're talking about auctions being bid up and all this stuff. Then people that eventually do win them and not paying because, and I think a lot of it goes to the point of not paying because they see, another comp of the card and they know they overpaid for it or something like that. I really wish, sort of like Walmart trying to enforce something, but I mean, I really wish eBay would do a better job of enforcing, and banning non-payers because I think that's a problem on eBay. I want to get your thoughts since you're knee deep in it every day with it, J-Mac.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good point about messages. Like sometimes I get, when there's a certain notification I get when it's an eBay message from someone, like I get, anxious to read it, but then I'm also nervous. I'm like, what? Oh no, what do they want? Or what? So there's a little bit of angst with it. But I'm always whatever I'm doing with family, whatever, I'm always like, okay, I got to get to that. So I usually get to it within an hour. I try to respond within an hour of any message that comes through. I mean, unless sometimes I'll read it, and I get a lot of messages from people that come from YouTube just to say, what's up and hi. And those I tend to not respond to as quickly because it's like it's not a pressing issue. I can reply to that tomorrow and say, what's up, thanks, appreciate their support, all that.
Yeah.
But if it's about a card or something, yeah, you're right. And I have noticed there's a lot of sellers. This is one reason. If you want to learn, if you want to know how to stand out on eBay and run a good eBay business, number one, here's a good. People say that it don't matter that much, but it does. Run it like a business. Think of your customers as customers. Treat them good. Communicate with them. And then, like a lot of eBay sellers, they don't ship fast. I ship fast. I ship.
Oh
Try to
yeah,
ship. I
that's
ship
a whole
next
nother.
day. I ship next day. So you look at my feedback. It's most everybody says, man, fast shipping. Thanks. Good package. Well, blah blah blah. All those things. If you're prompt, if you're courteous and you're respectful, and you get back in a you know good amount of time, then I've got a lot of repeat buyers now. I mean, I got one guy. He might. I don't know if he watches on YouTube too. I don't know, but he buys a lot of cards from me, but he messages me a lot too. He asks me a lot of questions, and I'm respectful to him. I mean, he asks a lot of, like, I'm talking about little, just down in the weed stuff, but it's helping him. He's just started selling, and he's trying to set up at shows, but he uses eBay as the platform to talk to me in it. But he buys so much too. I'm like, man, some of it he might be buttering me up for the next question. I don't know, but I'm just kind of joking,
Yeah.
um, but yeah. So I built quite a few customers. I got one guy from Kansas City who buys all my Chief stuff, all my Cardinals cards. This guy, he buys a lot of NBA. I mean, this guy comes and checks out like 5 slabs at a time, and stuff like that. So so to your point, if you're do people right on the platform and communicate with them, and I mean, some people are going to be,
And I'm even being a lot lenient by saying 48 day. I mean 48 hours, 2 days. I'm saying 2 days. Like I feel like that's like being generous, to be honest with you. If you can't answer me in a day, if you don't have the time to answer me a day, how serious are you even about selling the card? That's how I always get concerned about with some of these things. Is like, how serious you about selling the card, and then how are you actually going to package it? And like get it out the door, just like you're saying about. Like I feel like if you're delaying answering my response, you're probably going to be delayed in actually mailing me the card. And we know, as you know, J Mac, time is money in this hobby. So if you can't do any of those things, I don't know why. But
yeah,
I like that point too. Someone brought up about, leaving feedback for non-payment folks. I think that would be, I don't know, maybe go into an example of something you've had like that, J Mac. I think would be a quick little snippet for somebody.
right. Well, one thing I did. I don't remember what video I made about it. But I made a video and I talked about, because I used to always leave positive feedback as soon as someone paid, right? Or quickly thereafter. Well, now I got auto feedback turned on, so you can go into eBay. You can say, leave positive feedback once I receive positive feedback, and then what that does, if someone leaves negative or neutral feedback, you can go and read it, and then you
Mhm.
listen. It's a gray area, and people are gonna say you can't do it, but um, because you're not supposed to leave negative feedback or a negative response, even because you can't leave negative feedback, but you can if they leave negative or neutral, or I have an issue with the customer, I can go back and leave feedback, and I could say something in the feedback that's it's supposed to be. It says positive feedback, but I could say this seller didn't do X, Y, or Z, and left negative feedback on my eBay, but this occurred. Sellers beware. I say that. I'll start it with sellers beware.
I just
So
and going to this one's point down here. Yeah, I do think that eBay is long overdue, long overdue for enforcement on these folks. If you got people bidding up auctions or the shill biddings or the non-payments, like there's got to be a crackdown on this stuff because I feel like it does run a lot of people the wrong way. You know, it rubs them the wrong way on this stuff.
I
And
did want to say about the non-payer thing though that like I made a note of it that because I started running lots of auctions recently as well when I'm using up all my auctions every month. And I think I have maybe 1 out of 50 people that don't pay. So on a percentage, 98%.
you're doing really good.
So that's about what it is for me if I look at it. And that's why I told you I try to look at everything holistically, and I try to look at it as on a percentage basis. That way I'm not getting emotions tied up into the one dude who said bad things and did bad things and didn't pay. Well, guess what? He's one of or 2 of 100 that didn't. All the other 98 had a good experience. They were positive, most of them, or let's say 75% were a positive experience. Some other ones were they didn't. There wasn't any experience at all. It was just a transaction.
And I think what we're talking about too, though, and you quickly is it's more about the people that are let's say watching your channel, J Mac, and learning about eBay and trying to get stuff, cards sold, and things. I think it's the people that get frustrated, you know, that are just trying to, you know, maybe get up to 100 sales or just starting out their shop, their eBay shop, and they got some, you know, 2 or 3 transactions or folks that are causing an issue for certain cards or things like that. And then I think there is too, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. Once the card is not paid and it's done, I think eBay gives you what you got to have a couple days before you can relist the same card.
Well, it's another one of those things where you can have it automated, and you can have it auto after 4 days, where eBay cancels the order. It gives them a non-payer strike, which once they get 2 non-payer strikes, they can no longer send offers, and I don't think they can place bids either. So there is a little bit of repercussions, but it has to happen a couple times to a buyer. And then after 6 months, I think then they start over, right? So they can start the cycle back over. But yeah, and then you can relist the card after 4 days, and get
I still feel like the seller is being punished in those situations, and I don't think that's fair because just like I was talking about, especially I'm talking about higher end cards, JMX. So it's not necessarily a lot of the cards that you're in deep with. I'm talking about people that are selling, I would say $100 cards and up, where someone wins an auction, they don't pay for it. You have to wait, you're saying 4 days to relist that card. Well, what if something happens in those 4 or 5 days with that player or person, that card goes down, you immediately lost profit or value on that card because someone didn't pay. And I just think that to me, I'm sorry, it boggles my mind. And maybe,
and like you said, it's like when someone is low volume, and it's like they only sell 5 high end cards a month or something, and one of those 5 don't sell. That's 20% of their sales. That and then to them it's a bigger issue to them. So it's all about perspective though. So to ripping and flipping, I mean, I've had people, because I send out lots of offers, and I have people that accept the offer and then still don't pay. But again, it's about the percentage that we said. It's 1 out of every 45 or 50 that don't pay. So
I don't know. It's just I guess maybe it's because we came up from a different era. I grew up in a different era because that just seems ludicrous to me. Why would someone send an offer and then not pay for it? It's just like some of that stuff. Maybe it's just because I'm a little, live my life a little differently.
Well, if someone accepts my offer or I win an auction, I'm excited and I pay immediately because I got the card. So I don't understand. I don't understand why people don't pay pretty quick. But again, I just ignore it and just keep on with the business, and just don't let it. I try not to let it affect my, psyche from day to day. You know what I mean? Gotcha. So I think that's pretty good. I think we covered everything we wanted to, right?
We did. I know we didn't get to everybody's questions, man, but I want to say we really do appreciate all the different feedback that's been left on there, and I think we tried to answer as many questions as we could throughout the conversation. and this ain't the only time we're going to do this either. Like I said, I always text JMac, try and do a live stream here and there. And next time we had hope to have DJ and Rips Huck Pollock on next time. So you know, always
Yep.
like doing this. Always like talking the hobby, but don't like to do it. We like to give some time, and things change a couple months, so we're just trying to zero down on some of that stuff. And I always enjoy talking to you, J Mac, about things. And hey, congratulations too on going over 8,000 subs. If you're not subbing to J Mac, you should be. And you know what I hear? I want to say one thing about J Mac. What I hear most about J Mac from other people is not necessarily about his YouTube. It's about the Instagram. So and different things that you do on Instagram. So I know you got a lot of people too that are in the hobby. So JMac does a great Instagram. I don't do Instagram, but he's great at it. And
I do. I share a lot of memes and funny
yeah,
stuff over there. So
people get some good enjoyment out of JMac being funny on Instagram. So if you need a laugh one day, I think you should go check out his Instagram and do it. So
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, that it keeps it light. I try to be more serious on here on YouTube, but you gotta have some outlets to share different things. So
do you want to squeeze this last one in here? This question?
yeah. Well, the thing is that they so SGC kind of got squeezed, and they had to because PSA is also 15. They just opened up 15 but PSA opened it up for all sports. But like I know SGC is keeping the tops 23 $9 special going, so that's a play. That's probably a bigger play if you're ripping. I'm not, but if I were, I'd use that. And I got a couple Brady's that I think PSA will hammer that I think I'm going to send to SGC at this $15. Their personal collection PC. Someone asked what PC was, and someone answered it in the chat, but that's what PC is, personal collection. So yeah, I mean, if you got some PC cards or some, it is even vintage now. Like I would probably take advantage of this for vintage for football as well.
I would say if you got any cards, 1970s and earlier, going back, I think is a good football play for the SGC special. But like J Mac said, now, especially too, is the PSA turnaround times have been pretty on point here, within a couple weeks or, 4 to 6 weeks in a lot of folks.
A month max most times now.
And look, I'm an SGC homer. I love SGC. I love Peter and I love what they're doing over there. But right now, it's tough to not do PSA, to be honest with you.
Especially if you're reselling it at all, I mean, it's tough sledding these days with everything going down. I did do a bulk CSG order not long ago just to come back around to use them. They're $12. This is when everything else was 20, and I wound up getting 6 Shohei Ohtani Gold Cup 10s in my CSG order, so that allowed me to make my money back and make some money on that. But if I didn't get all those Ohtani 10s, I would have lost money big time on the CSG order. So
to be honest with you, Jason, I think SGC waited a little too long to come down on it, and I don't know why they did. That's my personal feeling on it. I've been saying since January that they should have been under $10 a card, to be honest with you, to start pulling in more inventory, and they just continue to wait and wait and wait. But the good thing is they are starting to come down, and I think if you're just doing PC or something too, I would just wait. If you're just really interested in SGC and doing a slab, to be honest with you, I'd wait till SGC comes down to $10, less than $10 a card, because that's where you sort of need to be.
Well, when
you're selling,
when PSA was 19, like I talked to Eric Drew, who is now he's officially the biggest SGC bulk submitter because Nash Cards pulled out. So they're not doing SGC. They were right there neck and neck with Eric Drew, Boca Raton SGC bulk submitter. Well, there's there now because Nash Cards stopped submitting with SGC. There's some negative connotations floating around SGC because a lot of people are turning on them. So I mean, I was like, because I'm like you, I'm like Josh. I really like SGC. I mean, as far as their transparency, they're very concise,
I think
precise.
they're the best grader. I think they're the best.
They're best grading company
Yes.
overall. But at the end of the day, I'm a dealer and reseller a lot, and it has to be factored in.
And the resale value, to be honest, Jason, is 65 to 70% of a PSA graded card. A SGC 10 compared to a PSA 10 for most cards. So like JMac is saying, I think that when you're dealing with that type of stuff, and PSA is on point with the turn time and the pricing, how do you not do PSA? You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. But I would say wait up till SGC is going to come down more, and they're going to have to when push comes to shove at the day. But the funny thing is too, once again, we're going to go a whole live stream. We ain't going to talk about Beckett because Beckett to me is done. I'm going to say I'll keep that to me. That's me only. But
they're toast. They're toast.
Beckett's. I don't know there should be a whole college course dedicated to the downfall of what Beckett has come. I just felt like they went on COVID on PTO. They went on PTO for COVID and
never came back.
Never came back. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, so I saw some guy posting in one of the SGC groups today. They were like, if you're trying to decide on what grading company to use, now don't use Beckett, because he showed his value has been like they're the only company that's still having 3 to 5 month turnaround times. So on value stuff on bulk, and it's like, I mean, they're not getting that much volume, so it's not like they're getting overrun with submissions. They just can't turn the cards around.
And it's crazy to think that back in the day, getting the Beckett guide for the prices and cards and things like that was one of the cool things to get in the hobby. It just, they're not there. They're not there. I don't think a label slab, is going to save it. I just, there's been talk about Fanatics possibly buying them or doing something. That's not going to save it. I'm telling you, it's PSA every day, and then SGC for vintage is really what it really boils down to. And I would say SGC for, like JMac was saying too, for PC cards too. At the end of the day, that's
honestly, even CSG, because it's $12. So if you literally want a nice slab of PC, I'd use CSG too. That they're to me they're above Beckett. So, yeah. Anyway, just a few comments. Better to do singles or lots. You talking about on eBay?
Go back and watch the first 20 minutes of our live stream.
Yeah. As far as buying, definitely lots in bulk. So, but anyway, we're at an hour and a half now, so we need to jump off. So thanks Josh for joining. Thanks everyone in the chat for joining. Yes, hope you have a great weekend. Going to any shows or anything soon?
I just got done doing a show. I'll be going to the show at the end of July, but it's local. I haven't been traveling a lot, to be honest with you. I'm sort of like getting to where you're at, JMac. If it's within an hour or two, I'll do it. But I will be setting up at the end of July for a show. But
slow down a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't needed to go because I'm getting good inventory otherwhere. So I'm getting the stuff that I need and want, and not having to worry about going to a show. But I love setting up as a dealer. It'll be my 5th time to do it when I do it in July. So pretty excited.
There you go. Well, Bentonville shows this weekend, 2 days. I'll be there set up, and it's probably the last show I'm gonna set up at for a couple months. So if you're in Arkansas, come check me out. I'll be there. But that's all we got till next time, guys. Doses. Thanks for watching.
All right.